What is something a president did that personally affected you negatively? I was cleaning up after a hurricane. Sent group out to get lunches, they didn't come back. Sent another group out to get more garbage bags and bleach, they didn't come back. It was dark, so we had to stop working, no power. Our cars couldn't get out. Fucking presidential motorcade stopped all traffic in the middle of hurricane cleanup for 4 hours. No child left behind directly affected my teaching, and which kids were promoted. Back before he was the president, Ronald Reagan, apparently personally, had a relative of mine fired from their state California job when that relative wrote a letter to the editor that was published that was critical of a policy that Reagan had put forward. Trump limited mortgage interest deductions in 2017. Gerald Ford punched me in the nuts. A man in Arkansas owned an abusive Christian school. Trump pardoned him. It had been 15 years since I went to that school. I didn't know I could be broken any further. But that news broke me. I hate Trump. He's a pedo advocate, a Nazi, barely human garbage. Thanks to that piece of shit Bolsonaro and his inattitude towards COVID, 700,000 people died in Brazil. A few of those were family members. We all think of Gordon Ramsay as an extremely picky food critic chef, but if your life's work was cooking and you saw a narcissistic restaurant manager breaking health code violations and making horrible food, you'd be pretty angry too. The Us show's editing really amp up his anger to hair trigger levels. I forget which scene was it, but I once saw a side-by-side comparison of how it was shown in the Us and in the Up. The Us version made him seem very upset with the restaurant's chef. He's said so in interviews. He gets angry at people who should know better, but he's patient with the people he's teaching. Oh, for fuck's sake, this is raw. My coworker used to put kitchen nightmares on at work during slow afternoons, and I felt his criticisms and harshness were actually fair. Sure, he flares it up for television sometimes, but people tend to over-exaggerate how much of an asshole he is. In reality, he's a pretty swell dude. He just expects a lot out of himself and his employees. Ramsay watching other people cook is probably like us watching our parents trying to use a computer. Can't exactly remember the words, but there is so much oil on this plate, the fucking us will invade it. I used to think him an asshole until I worked at a restaurant. In English, we use the phrase righty tighty, lefty loosey as a helpful reminder. What other languages have comparable common sayings? Swedish and use the English righty tight. Kids picked it up as well. Unsure if via interwebs or me. Don't know of any Swedish equivalent. In my country, everybody knows of Roy G. Biv, who represents how colors appear in the spectrum. Rechts dret die or so jets, saying for the clock turns right. That's how it gets tight. So lang das Deutsch Reich bestet, were die Schraub rechts jedret. Are you saying bolts are standardized? My father taught me try the other way, try the first way and grunt, try the other way and swear seems much safer. In my province we say never eat shredded wheats for north, east, southwest. Never heard a version in French though. Clockwise, lockwise. Gabo levant luna calant. Gabo ponent luna roughly means hump east, decrescent moon hump west crescent moon. It's used to determine on a whim if the moon is crescent, or not based on the placement of the full part, but you need to know where the east-west are. Who's a celebrity that looks like they don't shower? Russell Brand. I have a theory that Jared Leto only showers for work. Gary Busey. Pete Davidson looks like he doesn't shower. Norman Reedus. He's my Pookie though. Benny Blanco. I was working at a radio station and Kid Rock came in for an interview. He literally smelled like a dumpster that had months of ashtrays and old cheeseburgers festering. Kenny. Brittany. I love her, but I just want to give her hair a good scrub. Pete Davidson. Shia LaBeouf. Rob Schneider immediately came to mind, but I feel bad for saying that He's not really a celebrity. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis proudly tell people they don't shower much or bathe their kids. Post Malone, Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, man always just looks sweaty and greasy. Ben Affleck, when I see photos on him I imagine he smells like stale coffee and cigarettes. Bob Geldof, I swear Billie Eilish looks like someone who bathes once every 2 weeks. Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain, Bobby Lee, Matty Healy, James Franco, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, dude who's in Walking Dead and Death Stranding, Norman Reedus. The color of your shirt and the last thing you eat is your gangster name, what it would be. Black chicken. Holy shit, I'm not even kidding. White cracker. Purple. Black Fruit Loop. Black sandwich. Black omelet. Blue cheese. Gray muffin. Navy chicken wing. White water. Black soup. Black do-si-do. Nun soup. White person. Teal cookies. Checkered brisket, blue beef curry, blue kimchi, not applicable cheese stick, black ice cream, black biscuit, red scone, marine bread, not too shabby if you ask me, no shirt chocolate bunny, black cookie, blue grilled chicken, blue pepperoni, sky blue kebab. Doesn't really work, does it? Gray rice cake gangstuff, gray peanuts. Black Lurtimer. Behold, it is I, the red snickerdoodle. White donut. So a fat cracker that thinks he's black. Red bread. Black garlic bread. Red bread. White Oreo. Black rice cracker. White hot dog. Pink takis. Pink tuna. 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 What's a podcast actually worth listening to? Well, there's your problem, a podcast about engineering disasters. With Slidacy, listen to 1 or 2 comedy podcasts, but none of them make me laugh as hard or as often as 2 civil engineers from Philly, proud sons of Philly, and a posh British woman discussing engineering and societal disasters. Edit only. Roz is a civil engineer. Liam is a finance major because he's a good boy. No such thing as a fish funny, while being somewhat educational. This is kind of new, but check out If Books Could Kill. 2 guys discuss and analyze best-selling nonfiction books that could use a good dissection, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and The Secret. Well-researched and super funny and interesting. Love it. Old Gods of Appalachia is a good radio drama. The way narrator speaks, you can feel the trees grow around you. Darknet Diaries. I am obsessed with this podcast. Will kill you if you like the biology and history of diseases and illnesses. This is it. The presenter are awesome. Hardcore history. The history of Rome. Mike Rest is history. Hardcore history. 99 Invisible. Behind the Bastards is fantastic, but will question humanity. Hidden Brain. The Anthropocene Reviewed. The wife in The Truman Show was essentially a highly compensated upscale prostitute. Makes even more sense considering she gets a bonus every single time that they have sex. I'll never forget Laura Linney's cold, dead eyes staring into the camera as she's selling you a fake food brand, which was a position she applied for as a minor. And she didn't get to have a life. The more you think about The Truman Show, the more fucked up it is. I read an interview she gave about the character. In her own personally developed character backstory, she received check every time she slept with Truman. What if they just never taught Truman about actual sex as they were raising him? Would he know they weren't having sex? Just like Debbie told Fester in Addams Family Values. I always figured there was a gaping plot hole in the movie, fond of it though I am, called puberty. Unless they found a way to get a tube sock endorsement for little Truman, which would be gross given the age, there'd be a lot of hours of unpublishable footage of Truman and his Mick Boom. It's especially creepy when you remember that they had grown up together. Even though she knew the truth, She was absolutely groomed for the role too. To be fair, having a human being in a giant doom broadcasting his entire fake life 24. Which drug would you say has caused the most overall harm in human history? If we ignore alcohol, then it's almost indisputably opium. Alcohol by far. Not even close. Alcohol or opium and its derivatives. Alcohol hands down. Alcohol. Look up all the famous musicians that have died, and you will see the majority are from alcohol. Alcohol by a fucking country mile. We love alcohol. Alcohol. If a dispensary bothers you more than a place that sells liquor, you're probably an idiot. Fentanyl is pretty sneaky and deadly. Meth. Pervitin was available without a prescription in Germany starting in 1937. The soldiers of the Third Reich overran most of France, spun out of their minds. I was going to say thalidomide, but yeah, prob alcohol is the better answer. Opium and its derivatives. Penicillin. Justice for microbes. Opium. For generations and generations. On a personal level, I think alcohol has affected more lives. And there's an argument to be made that more of history has been swayed by alcoholism. But from the opium wars to what's happening today with fentanyl, opium has been a plague on humanity. Alcohol. Your love. Policeman uses locks in their police station lockers. There was a guy at work who was thought to have stolen things out of people's lockers, but there wasn't any proof. One day a co-worker brought in a surprise birthday gift for his wife that he wanted to keep there for a few days, so instead of worrying about the klepto, he put him in charge of keeping an eye on his stuff. It worked. I'm not a cop, but I am a plumber, and I've been in several police locker rooms completely unsupervised. I imagine it's pretty common. Locks make sense. Cleaning crew, maintenance personnel, and local politicians all walk through, so yeah. The joke around police officers is you could leave a $20 bill on the break room table and it will still be there a week later. If you leave a pair of handcuffs, they'll be gone in 10 minutes. Far as the locker room, it's because other people have access to that room besides officers, and they store weapons in there as well. Hence the adage, locks keep honest people honest. Cleaners, repairmen, guests, men who fill the coffee all walk pretty freely in a police station on a daily basis. They don't have a bodyguard watching them while they work. So it's not that weird, I think. As you grow older, what are you beginning to detest? Unnecessary drama. American work culture and health care tied to employment. Social events. People. The role social media has in spreading hate and misinformation. Other people driving on the same city streets that I'm driving on when I'm driving on them. Getting drunk, wasted. Morons who think they're smart. I wish they had enough sense to figure out why the people who did well in high school all disagree with them, but the burnouts who failed pre-algebra all on there didn't suddenly become an intelligent critical thinker after high school. You're a gullible fool. Attention-seeking behavior. Commercials. Noise. The sheer amount of time put into working. I only work 30-hour weeks, and that feel like so much time is being put into work. Why do we need to work 40 hours a week to sustain ourselves? That's so insane. Social media. I haven't started any new hatred in years, but I've really started to refine my contempt for professional sports, organized religion, and cheddar cheese made in your shit together Vermont. Your cheese is fucking embarrassing. People recording TikToks everywhere. People with no self-accountability. Pushy and intrusive people. And people who gossip or complain as a hobby. A healthy diet, exercise, and drinking plenty of water dramatically increases your chance of having a tragic death. Yep, it's awful that so many people who pursue this get crushed by the very mirrors they're looking at themselves in. How so? Dying at 47 because of lung cancer seems tragic. You made me laugh. 10 points for you. Undoing stupid shit dramatically increases your chance of having a tragic. I'm not really sure what you're getting at here. Why exactly tragic all of a sudden? I don't know. Starvation is pretty tragic. I think what Op is trying to tell is, for example, dying of lung cancer because of smoking is tragic, but dying of lung cancer even after living a healthy lifestyle is way more tragic. Is dying of a heart attack at 40 because you're obese, it isn't tragic because you knew it'd be coming. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? What services were widely accessible and affordable in the late 20th century, but have since become premium or exclusive? Markets for farmers. It used to be possible to go down and purchase produce for less money than you would pay at the grocery store. It appears that they are now charging 3 times what retailers do. My small hometown had a shoe repair shop and a watch repair shop. Being the owner of the program, you bought new furniture constructed from genuine wood, prices for concert tickets, household items that held up after being used for a few years without breaking. My mom's wedding cookware is still in good shape 25 years later, but every time she needs new pans, they start flaking Teflon into the food within a few months. My grandma owned the same fridge from 1993 for a good while before deciding to switch to a newer, bigger one 2 years ago. Yes, it broke within those 2 years. Pork belly. Once upon a time poor people would receive this awful cut of meat for extremely low costs and it would be discarded. Then wealthy people discovered that it was wonderful because of the impoverished, which led to an explosion in pricing.